The last piece to be aware of to start with is your shoulder tilt. There's also a big problem. The issue here would be if you had too much shoulder tilt or your upper body leaning too far away from the target, right shoulder way lower than your left. That's going to lead to too many fats and thins behind the ball. What we want are the shoulders pretty level, or if you're going to err on it, the left shoulder actually a little bit lower. How do you know if you're doing that right? Take your normal chipping setup, put both your hands down your legs so they rest on your quads here, and your fingertips of your middle finger or the bottom of your hands should be level to each other. That means my shoulders are level. If my right fingertips are lower, like a driver, not good for chipping. I want them level, or even, to exaggerate, feel your left fingertips work a little bit down towards your kneecap, which will actually make your left shoulder a little bit lower than your right. That helps us get a little bit of a descending blow on the ball and helps make sure that we hit the ground after the ball, which we need for solid contact. Hey guys, Eric here outside at the Bethlehem Golf Club. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to chip like the pros. Now in this video, we're going to talk about all the fundamentals needed for consistent, solid contact so you can chip the ball closer to the hole, ultimately hopefully get up and down a little bit more, shoot lower scores, and enjoy the game more. Now, like I said, in today's video, this will be kind of the fundamentals, setup, backswing, downswing, mechanics on how to chip well. We actually went a step farther and built out a full chipping practice routine, based on my decade of golf coaching and working with players with great short games. What are the things you need to do week in and week out to crispen up your short game to improve it? Beyond these mechanical pieces, things like landing zones, up and down games, using different clubs, etc. We built a practice plan, our ultimate chipping practice plan specifically for that, that's now available for purchase. And while you're down there with the chipping info and the chipping practice, we also made a putting practice plan. The ultimate putting practice plan, the same thing, everything you need to improve your putting. You can purchase the chipping, the putting, or a combination of the both to really take your short game to the next level. We'll include a link to Podia down in the description down below. You'll be able to see all of the information there. Now, in terms of chipping basics, we always have to start with the setup, right? So as I'm coaching, a lot of the chipping improvement and errors that I see stem from the setup position before we even move the club. So let's review some of the pieces that we need to be able to chip solid. Two biggies that I see that come up as issues all the time are going to be the width of the feet, or how far the feet are from each other, and the distance the feet are from the golf ball. The majority of golfers, right, have the feet too far apart and the feet too far from the golf ball. What we want to do is have the feet much closer together and the feet closer to the ball. Now let me give you a couple checkpoints for this. If I were taking a full swing setup, the swing would look something like this. Now full swing, I want speed, power, distance. Chip shots, I want to be weak on purpose. I'm hitting at a short distance. I want solid contact and predictability. So feet closer together. How close together? I would get to the point where the heels are about a club head. So you just take your sand wedge. Got a 56-degree sand wedge here. I'd take your club head and put it in between your heels, and that's about how far I would say is as far as you should be. You could even be a little bit closer than that. Your heels are almost touching, but about a club head. Now you'll notice that my toes are more than a club head apart. I prefer the front foot a little bit flared, a little bit of personal preference, feet closer. How about how close to the ball should you stand? Well, if I get in here and I put my club down, well, we're gonna notice from my trail foot, and my right foot's a little closer than my left, again, because I like to flare it, we'll notice that I'm about pretty consistently one grip and one golf ball, so kind of a grip and an inch away from the inside edge of the ball. So if I take my setup and I'm way out here, this would be way far, right? So you can actually put one golf ball and a grip down, and that's about where your trail foot should be. So those are going to be two easy checkpoints for your chip. So if we just start with that and we hit one, the feet are only one club apart, get super duper close to the ball. So that'll look something like this. And as we're going to hit some shots as we work through the pieces here, again, the goal is solid contact. So I want to get as close to the ball as you can. It'd be very hard to get too close. And I want to get my heels super close together. Now the next part to discuss is ball position. And really I put ball position and shaft lean together. What I would suggest as a starting point would be to put the ball just inside of your right heel. Now my feet are really close together, my heels are very close, so just inside the right heel is going to be like just a hair back of the middle of your stance. So in terms of my upper body, that's going to be just a little bit behind my shirt buttons or sternum location. That would be about an appropriate ball position. Now with that ball position for a normal shot, I would have a little bit of shaft lean. What's a little bit of shaft lean? So that would be the hands about inside of my left thigh. So the club straight up and down is not enough. The hands forward of my leg is too much. I want it just inside the left thigh. So ball's inside the heel, shaft is slightly leaning forward, just inside my left thigh. And those would be my stock pieces in terms of ball position and handle location. Now, you might just stop the video here, do those pieces, and if you chip it good, that's great, right? Keep this as simple as possible. I'd say those pieces we just talked about could be the cause of like 80% of the issues. So ball position, handle location. The last piece to be aware of to start with is your shoulder tilt. There's also a big problem. The issue here would be if you had too much shoulder tilt, or your upper body leaning too far away from the target, right shoulder way lower than your left. That's going to lead to too many fats and thins behind the ball. What we want are the shoulders pretty level, or if you're going to err on it, the left shoulder actually a little bit lower. How do you know if you're doing that right? Take your normal chipping setup, put both your hands down your legs, so they rest on your quads here, and your fingertips of your middle finger, or the bottom of your hands, should be level to each other. That means my shoulders are level. If my right fingertips are lower, like a driver, not good for chipping. I want them level, or even, to exaggerate, feel your left fingertips work a little bit down towards your kneecap, which will actually make your left shoulder a little bit lower than your right. That helps us get a little bit of a descending blow on the ball and helps make sure that we hit the ground after the ball, which we need for solid contact. So the ball's just inside right heel, handle forward. My shoulders are level. Let's go ahead and do one there. And again, these are just the little setup fundamentals. Now, as I'm doing my setup, right, the only other little thing to keep in mind is going to be your aim point, or where your shoulders are aimed and chest are aimed. I would prefer when you do this, your shoulders are square to just slightly open. So from our face-on camera, if I kind of put this right in the middle of my chest, my shirt buttons would be pointed slightly in front of the ball or at the front edge of the ball. I don't want my shirt buttons behind the ball with my shoulders too closed. So when I take my setup, we put this all together. And again, you're only thinking and doing what you need here. So the club's in between my heels, one club head. I'm about a grip and a ball away from it. Now my shoulders feel pretty darn level. Ball position inside right heel, handles just slightly neutral. So this would be kind of my stock chipping motion. What do I want to avoid from this face-on part would be having the ball position too far back, so like outside of right heel, and the handle too far forward. That's going to be too much leading edge, too much dig. I also don't want the ball up by my left foot here like this. It's going to be very hard for me to have a consistent low point ahead of the ball for that. So ball position just back of middle. Again, heels close, feet close here. Now, you're also going to notice as I work through here that because I am a little bit closer to the ball, that shaft angle is going to need to be slightly more vertical. So when I look at it from down the line, if I get really far from the ball, the shaft angle would be much lower. That's going to be more heel dig. So as I'm standing closer, that shaft angle is going to be more vertical, and that would be the way to err on it, would be too vertical, right? Get too close to the ball and have the shaft too vertical and hit some and see how you perform with that. When all else fails, getting closer to the ball and the shaft more up is going to be more consistent than the other. Now that's about 18 million setup pieces, but if there's one more thing I would say would be, again, as I get closer to the ball, don't be afraid to grip down. So I'd rather you get to the point where your thumb was almost to the bottom part of the grip versus you being way up here, right? All of these things, gripping down, closer to the ball, et cetera, are all in there to be able to have more consistency with your chipping, right? More consistency with your contact and have an easier time hitting the ball more solid. Does it look like I'm gonna have an easier time from here or like this, right, in terms of chipping? Well, I'll definitely take the person that's in here chipping like that. So again, those are all the setup pieces. You don't need to write those down and do every single one of them. You wanna check and see which areas do you not have in there and can I put those in? And if there's 3 or 4 things there, stop there, call that chapter 1 setup, and get good at that for a beginning, you know, week 2, 3, and then we'll move on to the next piece. But once we own the setup pieces, the next thing to talk about is the backswing motion. Okay, backswing motion. So there's 3 or 4 kind of basics we want to talk about in terms of the backswing. The first thing I would say that's the most important during your backswing is the plane the club comes on. And so in simple terms, if I took my setup and I drew a line right up the shaft angle, what you'll notice with good chippers is that club during the backswing rides basically right up that plane. What I want to avoid is going too far under plane and inside, or too far outside the plane. So when I make my backswing, the club comes right up the plane. If I was going to err, I'd rather be slightly outside than too far inside. When you get too far inside, a lot of fat and thin shots. Now notice as I do that, the club face angle, number 2, my club face angle is basically toe up here. Not like a full swing shot where we like the club toe down. We like it toe down with a full swing because we want to get shaft lean. We want to use the leading edge, hit the ball far with power. In terms of this, we want finesse, we want some bounce, right? So as I do this, I want the club to be more toe up and right in line with my hands. So we're going to do one from back here. That should look like more of a finesse wedge shot versus having the club tilted down. Now, are there some good chippers who have it tilted down and then they hold the handle? Of course, but it's a more difficult way to do it. It'd be much easier to have the face more neutral. So we have the clubs on plane. We're looking for the face to be toe up. Now from the face on angle, the 2 questions always are, how much should I hinge or not? And then length of swing. In terms of hinge rates, here's what I'd say. Number 1 is whatever you do on the backswing, match with the follow through. So if you're gonna be more Jason Day, no hinge, then you want to feel no hinge on the way through, Steve Stricker, Jason Day. If you want to go more hinge up, then you got to feel more unhinged on the way through, right? So you can hit any kind of shot with either one of those techniques. Generally speaking, less hinge will be a lower shot, lower loft. More hinge will be a higher shot. But whatever you do on the way back, you do on the way through. I would prefer very little hinge. If you're doing a stock setup, and let's say you set this little angle between your lead arm and the club, I don't really want that angle to change much. So this angle here, when I work back, I don't want to change that much. This would be a big change. This would be no change here. So what you're feeling like is the butt of the club is going to keep pointing towards my body as I chip on both sides. If I was going to have very minimal hinge, it would feel as though that butt of the club stays pointed towards me. When I do too much hinge, the butt of the club points down towards the ground, right? So I want to just have the butt of the club pointing towards me on both sides. Minimal amount of hinge, most of that coming from body, right? Now, the last part here with the backswing is going to be swing length. And what I would suggest with this is same length back, same length through with neutral tempo would be ideal. I don't want to, with these, add so much acceleration at the bottom, and I also don't want to decelerate too much. Constant pace, right? So in your mind, it should feel as though the club head is moving back and through at the same exact speed. I'm not trying to add speed or take speed off. What I definitely don't want is to add speed, have any kind of hinging happening in transition like a full swing. So clubs on plane, face angles neutral, same length back, same length through. You'll notice some people, especially out of the rough, might go a little farther back and a little shorter through. I'd prefer that to short back and really far through, but neutral tempo with this would be another good one. So those are really the backswing. We talked a little bit about the follow through, but let's kind of clean up the follow through pieces. So the follow through pieces, right? Now, if you did the other pieces correct, there shouldn't be much you have to do here with this. What I would just note would be a couple things. Again, however far back the club head travels, let's say it's 3 feet from the ball and 2 feet off the ground, get it the same thing on the way through. 3 feet from the ball, 2 feet off the ground, right? Kind of match that pattern. From the down the line angle, you want to feel like the club head's on or outside your hands from this side, on or outside your hands from this side. I don't want it to go here and then it starts to roll over, right? So the club head shouldn't roll over to the left of me. I want that to stay to the right of your hands. So when I'm doing my follow through pieces, it's matching the same length and the club head is staying to the right of my hands. It doesn't roll over to the left. And really depending upon what kind of trajectory you want to hit, right? When I'm going to hit my lower shots, my follow through is going to be a little bit more like this, which is going to be hands away, club head low. When I want to hit my medium shots, that'll look a little bit more neutral. So when I want to do the higher shots, that club head is going to be a little bit higher on the way through with the handle closer to me. So the follow through is going to change a little bit depending upon the height that you hit, but matching backswing length when you come through, getting your belt buckle and shirt buttons to the target with the club head to the right of you would be some stock general pieces. Now, that's really a full master class on chipping, setup, backswing, downswing. The goal here for you is to find the 1, 2, or the basic parts you need to do to hit the ball solid step 1. You get good at hitting the ball solid, then you're ready for the ultimate practice plan. Start doing landing zones, bump and runs, changing your trajectories, etc. So hopefully this makes sense. If you guys have any questions, as always, leave a comment down below. Hey guys, thanks for watching today's video. If you like today's video, do us a favor, click that like button down below. Click the notification bell. Also, please subscribe. Now, if you do want more on chipping and you want to purchase our ultimate chipping class to go beyond just these mechanical parts, start to learn skills, get the ball in the hole, improve your up and down percentage, we'll include in the description down below the ultimate chipping practice plan. You can also get the ultimate putting practice plan or combo those together, really help take your short game to the next level. As always, all members of Cogorno Golf do get these for free, included in their membership. And if you are interested in more coaching, you can go to cogornogolf.com. We'll also put that inscription down below. Thanks, guys.